1910, when he immigrated with his family from Poland, Saul hawked the New York Times on the streets of Paterson, New Jersey, became an amateur boxer and a semi-professional basketball player, and finally went to work in a dye shop. And it was there that he learned about the union and about the labor movement and began his lifelong pursuit of justice for working people. He rose through the ranks of his union to become president of the Textile Workers Union of America. And then just 2 years later, he merged his union, gave up his own personal power, merged his union with the Amalgamated Clothing Workers in order to bring victory to J.P. Stevens workers in the textile South. Saul left union office in 1982, but he never retired. He threw himself into the creation of the first museum dedicated to the labor movement. It's the American Labor Museum in Paterson, New Jersey, and if you haven't had a chance to visit the Botto House, you ought to do it. It thrives today. Saul also served as the first labor leader in residence at Rutgers University, teaching students how to organize unions. So, David, tonight, Saul would be busting at the seams and just full of pride for our Labor History Award this year. So come tell us about it.
Cobble has challenged not only other historians, but also the labor movement with her discussions of styles of union organizing different from those that have dominated the movement since the passage of the Wagner Act. She has insisted on the crucial importance of gender in shaping styles of organizing that can be effective today. She's also had an important and valuable influence on the development of labor studies, and she's made a noteworthy contribution to the study of the history of workers' struggles in an international context. Her international prominence has been evident in her role in the journal International Labor and Working Class History. She joined Peter Wynne and Mary Nolan as senior editors at a time when that journal faced serious troubles, moved its offices to Rutgers, and helped shape an editorial board that works with an efficiency and a collective spirit that is really marvelous to behold. As an old original editor, I just go back and smile when I see this group at work. Together, they attracted a worldwide readership and a global network of contributors for the journal. Dorothy Sue Cobble is truly a labor historian for our times.
It's especially meaningful to me to receive an award associated with Saul Stetin. I knew him personally at Rutgers in the late 80s when he was labor leader in residence there. He was tireless in his pursuit of economic justice from his early days when he joined with 350,000 other textile workers in the nationwide 1934 strike, to his leadership of the 17-year campaign to organize J.P. Stevens, to his efforts in the 90s to found the American Labor Museum in Paterson, New Jersey, the silk manufacturing center where he settled as a young boy with his family, to his very last protest march on behalf of laundry workers at age 95, a month before he died. And there are many other less well-known skirmishes that he's involved in, some of which I heard as he sped by me in the hallway, calling out over his shoulder about some dramatic event, past or present. I thought I would just share one of the most remarkable of these stories. And I also wanted to thank my husband, Mike Merrill, who also knew Saul, for reminding me of this story and Saul's participation in it. On April 15, 1936, the New Jersey State Emergency Relief Fund shut down, ending its support to the poor and unemployed. 6 days later, with the New Jersey legislature seemingly incapable of responding to the crisis and people going hungry, Saul, with a dozen or so of his buddies, mainly ex-WPA workers and union organizers, took over the New Jersey State House and refused to leave. Others quickly joined them, and for 8 days, the protesters occupied the legislative chambers. They sat in the legislators' chairs, and they decided to carry on the work of the legislature. They debated, they voted on, and they passed bills. They adopted a steep tax on corporations, a progressive income tax as well. They set a minimum wage and a ceiling on hours, and this was 2 years before the first such federal law would pass. And they created a new system of unemployment insurance. When the New Jersey governor declared that he would only support jobless relief to, quote, repel invasion and put down insurrection, unquote, they promptly passed a bill explaining that insurrection was indeed in progress, at least in the Legislative Assembly Hall. This was political theater at its finest, and they got results too. $6 million generated from inheritance taxes was eventually earmarked for jobless relief. Thank you, Saul, for your audacity, your ingenuity, your clarity of purpose, and for your far-reaching vision. We are all in your debt. It is my privilege to write about labor activists like Saul Stetin, and this award is really about honoring them and their lives. So I accept this reward on behalf of Saul and on behalf of the many other labor men and women like him. I just want to close by thanking the Hillman Foundation for recognizing the importance of their stories, stories that help us find the courage and the faith to carry on. Thank you.